Alright, so it's time to play something I've been looking forward to once again. This is Autoforge. As you might have seen from the social media post, this is basically you take a factory game and slap it into a two-dimensional plane, similar to a game such as like Terraria or something along those lines. I hesitate a little bit to compare it to Terraria, but its predecessor game, Crea, was more or less in the same vein as Terraria, and this carries over some of that. So I feel like that's the best comparison I can make. I hesitate to make these comparisons because, as you all know, I hate comparing games by virtue of saying another game, but that's the quickest way I have to explain what this is. The faster way, other than that, is going to be letting you see it. So let's get this going. There it goes. We are this little robot right here. As you can see, we have a tutorial. Awaken, little robot. Now you might think, wow, you can't really see anything. You can zoom out a lot. If you want like grand scale visuals, you can. This is ore in the background. Background ore is very nice because you can drill it. We'll get to that in a minute. We can't go that way. That way bad. They want us to harvest stone, and that's gonna be important, but I'll mostly worry about that in a second. I'm gonna run around a little bit as well. So I'm gonna kind of just like speed through the tutorial a little bit because I did test all of this, and I've also played the demo, which is basically what the tutorial is. For example, we're gonna need this entangled ancient tech in a little bit, so let's just grab it now, and I don't have to go look for it later. Do let me know if all the audio balance and such is okay. It should be, but I know some of the effects in this game are a bit louder than the others. You'll notice we can't really go very far yet, either, because of this weird pixelated darkness. Now, what do we do about that, you might be thinking? Well, I'll get to what we do about that in a second. First and foremost, let me actually do what the tutorial wants now, because that will get us towards answering that very question. Now, I'm going to set things up kind of specifically, and it'll make sense as the tutorial goes along why I'm doing that. Just bear with me if what I'm doing may not necessarily make initial sense. I think I want it that height. No, I actually wanted to keep that floor that height. Because what we do is we put the forge there, we put the chest where the forge outputs, and I'm sure for most of you that makes immediate sense, but why it's directly underneath this may not necessarily make sense yet. Because we don't have anything to interact with that idea in the way that you would think. So just bear with me on that score for a little bit, and that'll all become clear. Biomass is good fuel, well, especially early on. Wood would be better fuel, but we don't have a lot of it around right now, so I'm saving the wood for planks. Now we just wait a minute while that does its thing, so I'm gonna pop this chest open and steal these items, and the chest itself. Basically trying to keep busy while the machine does its job. You know how that works. Ordinarily, I idle a bunch when I'm playing this, but considering you guys are going to be watching me do this, I'm going to try to keep active as much as I can. Research is important. As you can see, there's a lot of research to do, but not as much as you might expect from a game like this. Remember, this is a very early version. This came out in early access like not even a week ago, I think. Something like that. That said, there is a lot in all of these researches as well. So, we'll get to that when we get to that. For now, all we're going to be learning is how to make drills. And that's probably going to immediately make sense for any of you automation people out there, why I put the furnace where I did. Now that you realize that drills exist in that manner. Is as mentioned, this is at its heart an automation game. Much like a Factorio or a Satisfactory, a lot of it's going to be make machine do a good thing to make egg number go burr. That's a lot of what we're going to be doing here. There's a plot we will be dealing with as we go along, but I don't know enough about that to be speaking on that at the moment, so we're just gonna go do our making and building thing until that all kind of falls into place. You can also limit how much a chest fills, which, again, for some of the more advanced automation people out there, they'll be very excited to see that. For people like me, it's like, I'll just let the chest fill. It'll be fine. It may make some things go jank now and then, but it'll be okay. Machinery will get over it. But we just need to follow these steps over here, build the drill, place the drill. And this is where things get a little funny with this game. We have to interact with the drill and actually spin the crank to power the drill. Yep. When you see that this meter has anything in it, it'll keep drilling. If it doesn't have anything in it, it won't do anything. So you have to occasionally come through and crank the drill until you get better drills. So, you know, that's a whole thing. But that will automatically do its thing now until the crank runs out of power. So I'm going to continue my cleanup endeavors in here while I wait for that. It's worth noting, you can walk into the darkness a bit. You just can't walk deep into it without regret. I learned that in the demo by experimenting. So we're just not going to re-experience that little bit of learning. Suffice it to say, you will start taking damage and you will just die. I don't know if it was the darkness itself that killed me or if there was something down there that killed me. But point being, I went into dark places and perished, so we will not be going into dark places without good reason. There we go, we got that. Now, you'll notice it's talking about Apotheo's emitter. That's this big thing right here. Apotheos is how you push back the darkness. By unlocking stages of the emitter, you gain access to areas. You'll notice how the darkness is retreated in this general vicinity. I don't know what that stuff actually is. I'm just going to refer to it as the darkness because it's all pitch black over there, so you can't see anything. Because obviously, you know, there's regular darkness like this as well. You'll notice sparkles in the background in the dark up there. We'll get to what those mean in a moment, but you probably can figure that out just by looking around you. We were supposed to go find that ancient tech, but I grabbed it already, so we can just up over here, and we can only grab Empower right now. But you'll notice there's a bunch of upgrades of varying kinds in here, including sword and projectile power. Bear in mind, there is combat in this game. You will actually have to fight enemies. Conveniently enough, there it is telling us how to fight up there, and telling us to go to the surface of the planet. The layout down here does vary. This is not the same as the layout I had in my test game or in my demo. game, so for those so inclined as far as that goes, that is a fact for you to use. It is somewhat randomly generated. I got poop. Clearly the most important of items. Now you'll notice there's this gentleman here with a crank stuck in his back. We quickly power him up. Oh no, did I fall asleep again? Thanks for waking me up, brother. Who knows how long I was out for? It's so dark in here. Who knew a robot would be scared of the dark? There you go, buddy. Ah, light. That's much better. If you're looking for the comms network, then you should explore the neighboring regions. Did you get the comms network online? I can decrypt the transmission when you're ready. So he's useless until we get the comms network back. Take note of the fact that this is a mana deposit. We'll get into that in a little bit. But just understand that mana is a concept in this game. I will be lighting some of these darker places just so I know what's where. Yeah, we're gonna have to dig our way through there. How that connects up. And just note the fact that they're all like silhouettes up there because we can't see them, per se. So that's neat. Torch away. Start digging. Like many games of this type, most blocks and such don't really have any gravity to worry about, so we don't need to, like, support a structure or anything. We just need to make sure it's all pathable for us. And there we go. There's your oil slimes and whatever that slug thing is. And there you go. That's combat. Stab thing until thing goes poof. That's a spawner over there. Now you might be wondering, if I'm under attack and I can't reach the thing I'm fighting, what do? You right-click to shoot laser beam, or in this case, laser ball. And things stop being a problem. You do have a sort of double jump. I say sort of because sometimes I've had it not actually jump. Because I think it's a matter of you have to jump on the way up. But we can grab a few things while we're here. That's the edge of where we can get to on this side right now until we upgrade the emitter again. Now, I very frequently, when I've played this, all 2 times I've done it, have been unable to decide whether I want to build out to the surface and put the factory up there, or if I build down into the cave. And right now I think I'm gonna go back to building down into the cave, because when I tested surface building earlier today when I was doing my audio balancing and everything, it was kind of a pain at the moment. So I think our early on building is gonna go down into the cave, and then we will go back up afterward when we are better equipped, so we can more appropriately set things out up there. But you'll notice it's telling us to find a bunch of ore deposits. The sparkles are where you know for a fact an ore deposit is, because our little robot friend has a scanner that's telling him this information. And as soon as you mine even a single bit out of it, that's how you discover the node. So now you know that node's there. There's a wood deposit behind the vine there, so we'll make use of that. That's going to be our means of automating our furnaces and such, is we will be able to drill the wood out of there and send it down to the furnaces. Now you'll notice it said it was an expansive deposit. That's because a lot of this area is going to be wood as well. Expansive deposits are wonderful. Yeah, because here's the iron ore one, for example. We'll dig this one entirely out because iron's going to be vitally important to our entire processes around here. And you'll get an idea how big an expansive deposit is. Because remember how that iron deposit we had down below was like 4 blocks? Get a load of this thing. And you are guaranteed to have an expansive ore deposit, an expansive iron ore deposit, rather, at the beginning of the game. So enjoy having something you can fit a good, like, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like 12 or 13 drills on if you really want to cram them in there. It wouldn't be very efficient to cram them in like that, and we'll get into why in a moment here. But just understand that if you want to really, like, stretch the limits of what you can jam in there just for sake of doing so, you can. And it's not like it'll not work. It's just gonna be ineffective. If in my experience, at least it was. That's not a guarantee that it will always be ineffective. There is entirely a world in which I'm just bad at my job, which wouldn't be the first time. Oh yeah, and since I didn't right-click on that iron ore, that's why you don't see it checked off in the tutorial. There we go. But you'll notice there's this mana deposit here, and then there's other deposits. Other than the ones that the tutorial mandated, even just in this first region. We're not going to worry about the mana deposit right now, because the mana deposit does not matter for what we're going to be doing. The game wants us to learn basic transportation, which is what gets us tubes, which is going to be our main way of automating the everything right now, so we definitely are going to agree with the game on that. But you'll notice you get assemblers, scaffolding, combustion drills, all at tier 1. And the game will be sending us down towards combustion drills here soon, too. Which we're gonna want, so we would have been ending up there anyway. Get this powered up again, because we're gonna need a bunch of iron to get the job done around here. Because what this needs is a bunch of iron gears. Which, in case you didn't catch on to that, that's how research works, is you make materials, and it consumes those materials in order for it to do the research. It's not like science packs or anything like Factorio, it's just give it specific items. Once we have transport tubes, you'll start seeing me make a whole spider web of tubes everywhere, and it's going to upset some people. I'm just going to warn you right now. The way I'm going to lay out tubes, especially at the beginning, probably going to upset some of the more OCD amongst you, and I would apologize, but I feel like most of you know how I behave by now, so you know what you're getting. I'm just gonna sit here and mine wood while things happen. Oh, the excitement of mining wood, yeah. The main reason I'm doing this is just to make sure I have enough fuel for that furnace to last for a decent while I get everything else queued up and taken care of. Because there's gonna be a fair bit of busy work to be done while I get the main automation layout dealt with. Clean the mushrooms out from in front of the chest so I can see the chest again. There we go. Left click will make one thing at a time, right click will make 5. when you're in that crafting menu. And let me tell you, I highly recommend making 5s of things a lot of the time, even if you don't need it, just so you have spares. Because you never know when you're going to need more of something. This is the kind of game where you'll think something's useless, turn around and go, oh, I needed 20 of those tomorrow. Well, this game will automatically adjust slopes and such if blocks line up the right way for it, so you don't have to worry about, like, stairs or anything. Slopes will take care of themselves. I'm doing this to clean out some of the vines and clean some headspace. Is the biomass is arguably a better way to fuel things at the moment. It gives less fuel than the wood, but you can get it in great quantities very quickly by just cleaning out the vines. You just don't want to clean out all the vines because you can use them to climb around. Now we're going to automate in here first because, as you might imagine, iron is obviously going to be our bread and butter. Mostly the bread. The wood's going to be more the butter. But we'll get into that in a minute. Make myself some drills. And once the drills are done, I'm going to need furnaces, so I'm going to queue those up after the drills. So that while I'm setting the drills up, those furnaces will make. And then after that, I will be getting my transport tube requirements taken care of. Because I'm going to need a lot of tubage to get this down where it's going. But thankfully, you can queue up, as you can see, quite a lot of things to craft while you run around and do everything you need to do. For now, we're just going to line these up side by side. I'm going to be rejigging this layout as we go, almost certainly. Now, note that green arrow that's a little hard to see, but it's right there in that corner. It's currently pointing down. I'm going to rotate all of these to point down, and we're going to have them feed into a set of tubes that go down this hole, is the idea here. And thankfully, they have a little bit of internal storage, so while I'm getting it all set up, they're not going to be wasting time. Do let me know if the drill noise gets a bit loud, because it definitely can get a bit tiresome hearing wow, wow, constantly. Make sure your directions are correct with these, because they will only go in the direction you tell them to. They're not smart. But what we're going to do is we're going to take it straight down. Rid of the stalagmites here, even though they're nice. There we go. And we're going to have it feed into a bunch of forges down here. And we're going to place our forges in pairs. Is what I can do is have them feed in each direction, and each pair of forges will feed into a single chest. Now, that's also going to make sense in a little bit in terms of how they're going to be getting fed. And we do need mana for splitters. I forgot mana was required for splitters. So we are going to have to go up and get some mana. But we'll deal with that here in a minute. Because right now I need to get this iron going, because this is just not sufficient for our power needs, as you can see. Thankfully, it does make multiple tubes per craft. Specifically, every single craft gives you 3 tubes. But you might think, wow, that's a lot of tubes. It really isn't. It really isn't. In fact, I'm already going to need to grab more iron, and I already know I'm not going to have enough tubes to cross that gap, so let's make some more. Jump, please. Jump. Robot, please. There we go. That's one little bit of weirdness with the slopes, is there's like a singular space at the edge of a slope where it'll eat your jump when you step off of it. You have to time it kind of carefully. So I want that one going that way. They will merge just fine without needing a special tool to merge them, but they do need a splitter, as you saw in the inventory, in order to then re-split. And this is probably not the most efficient way to do this by having it go all this distance. I just like the way it looks all going into one cohesive place. And it's easier for me to keep track of and then collect from if it's all going to the same place. Which reminds me, I need at least one other chest as well. And I could put a bunch of these things on the bar, but there's no need to be doing so yet. So that's why I haven't yet. Okay, while I wait for some more iron to be made, let's go get some mana so I can make that splitter. You'll notice also that transport tubes don't exist. They're more or less in the background, so you can pass through them all you wish. This also means you can end up accidentally building over them, from what I recall, so you do need to be a bit careful with that. And I'm hoping that I remembered to keep the power going for the furnaces down below, otherwise we're gonna be really upset in a second here. I may or may not have been reminded of that by the fact that these drills all ran out. Which, with a decent amount in the internal storage of these, they should be able to feed those furnaces for quite a while. This is not the correct ratio of furnaces to drills, but I'm just not worrying about such things currently. We've got a ways to go before we need to concern ourselves with such things. Like, arguably, I could concern myself with it from the start, but that's just not how I do. Which is why I was saying I know some of what I do will upset the real serious automation people, and they can get over it or go do it themselves somewhere. Which, that is one thing that makes me slightly sad with this game, is that it is single player only at the moment. I don't know if there's any plans to be multiplayer in the future. I kind of hope there is, just because games like this are always better with more people, just so more hands get more work done. But, you know, eventually machines do all the work anyway, so it works itself out over time. Fuel these with biomass for now. Mostly just to get the biomass out of my inventory. Which, that's one gripe I have with this inventory, with this game. 2 rows of inventory space is not sufficient for my power needs. Means I have to involve a lot of chests, even early on, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. Now you'll notice that these splitters only go 3 ways, so I am going to have to split this more than once, which is somewhat annoying. So we'll like put that other splitter there. We're gonna need to make one more splitter. We'll put it in an identical spot over here. Each side of the splitter is just gonna go straight down into its requisite furnace. And as you might imagine, splitter direction is important. If your splitter is facing the wrong way, everything's gonna go to hell in a handbasket and nothing's gonna work. So pay attention to those little yellow arrows or you're gonna have a bad time. Now, you might also be wondering why I put that splitter so high. It'll make sense in a little bit. I've actually done something horribly stupid here, but we'll get into that in a minute. And this might seem like it's going slow at the moment. Don't worry, as soon as I get all of these online and I have iron out the wazoo available to me, things will get a lot better. It's just a little slow right now because we don't have essentially constant supply. There we go. As you can see, it splits, goes straight in there. It doesn't actually need to go all the way to the thing either. As you saw by the way the ore was kind of like weirdly hopping out of the tube. So if you really want to be cheapskate about it, you can. I just prefer to have it connect because it looks better to my eyes. It's not just like weirdly floating out of the thing into the device it's going to. I don't even need this drill anymore, but I'm gonna keep it going just till this is actually fully operational. Like, you'll notice this already made 12 ingots compared to the one machine over there are making just a little bit. Hey there, Snork, and sadly, we cannot get at slave labor in this game, but we'll get robots to do the work, which is close enough. We'll also be getting rid of the crank-based machinery very soon. But how you doing? There we go. So those are all getting fed their material automatically. I need to automate them being fueled. Go ahead and clean those out. I'm going to leave this light in the middle because I like it. I don't need it to be there, but I'm going to keep it there. Now, where was that wood? There was a wood deposit above us somewhere. Oh yeah, it was all the way up here, wasn't it? There's the stone. There was the iron. Oh yeah, it's right here. It's behind the vines. Yeah. Especially if you let an organization get out of hand, it's gonna take a while to fix. I'm doing better than the last couple days. I'm not as wore out right now. I'm definitely not at full power, but this game doesn't need full power. I've also got a bunch of new opportunities coming up, so I am excited. I won't be going into full detail about what those opportunities are yet because, well, some of which is embargo and some of it is I don't want to spoil things. So look forward to new and interesting things happening is the best way to explain that one. Go ahead and put this iron ore bit down for a second. Alright, now that I have this chest, I can put extraneous things in the chest and be able to function. Basically, all the things that I can't do anything with at the second or don't want to do anything with at the second. There we go. I'll probably not remember that that chest's there, but it's okay. Not gonna worry about it. Get more drills made. We need to go around and restart the iron drills. I'll make better pathing here in a bit. I'm just... That's not the priority. Because what I really should do is just drill straight out to the right to link back up with what's over here. Because I'm going to need to do that here in a little bit anyway. For reasons people can probably put two and two together about with something I showed off in the research tree just a little bit ago. And the fact we'll be getting rid of the crank drills before too long. So let's go ahead and just get that out of the way. Go ahead and get this ball rolling. I debated putting a crank drill on the wood deposit we had down below just to get a head start on that, and I should have, but scatterbrain happened. We're definitely gonna want more wood drills than that too, but right now that'll do. Let's go collect more iron. Like, as you can see, the iron issue is no longer a concept. We have over 130 iron bars already, so that's all you need to make sure you never need to think about iron again, is just make a handful of forges. And now we can make all the transport or tubes we need in order to run tubage all over this place in order to do everything I could desire them to do. Just run that straight across it. Now, I'm preemptively going to put a splitter here, and that's going to make sense later. It may already make sense with the things I've been hinting at, but it's not something anybody needs to worry about right now. Yeah, we'll just go straight through the floor here. I debated going across and then coming back, but we can just go straight through the floor and it'll be okay. Oh, but if I do that, then I break the vines that I'm using as my means of getting up and down, though. Ooh. No, I don't like that. No. So what we do instead, then, is we cut this bit, and then we will send it across and down. Yeah, Immortal was hated for honestly good reasons. That game was such a disappointment to, like, everyone involved. It's kind of horrific, just how much they dropped the ball on that one. And tried to pretend that they didn't, too. That's the... I feel like that's the real sin of it, is the fact that they tried to pretend that they didn't fuck up. Now, I've got to be very careful not to have these two tubes touch. Otherwise, we're going to end up with wood where the iron's going, and that's going to be an issue. So we need a couple bypasses. Oh, I'm better off moving that entire line, actually. Because if I move this entire line a step over, I don't need to do the jank thing I was about to do. So we will fix that before it becomes a problem. Is what we do by moving this over is we can now freely put a splitter like right about here and then use the bypasses the way I intended to, without it causing any complications. Otherwise, the moment I put a splitter on there, it's going to do exactly what I said I need it not to do and feed all of the wood into here and break everything. And I know the iron's run out. We'll worry about that in a minute. I have plenty for what I'm doing right now. Before anybody panics about the iron. Let's see. So, I guaranteed need a bypass to go across that. And then we will put a bypass jumping over here. And I'm going to need to make more bypasses. This is not going to be the cleanest way I could do this. This is going to honestly be kind of ugly. But it'll do the job, and that's the important part. Had I thought this through a little bit better, I could have made this cleaner. But clean was not the intention behind this idea. It being perpetual, aside from needing cranking, was the idea. There we go. That's all the bypassing that needs to happen. And from here, we just split this one like that, and this one like that. Which, I will say, the one thing I have going with this setup is at least it's nice and symmetrical. That pleases my brain. But the excess of this displeases my brain a bit, but it'll be okay. So there we go. Once wood's coming down the rest of the way, that'll feed automatically in there. That splitter's facing the wrong direction. There we go. Because the input up here was different, so I screwed up a little bit there, but caught it, so it's fine. Everything is a-okay. I just need one more piece. Come on. And there we go. Now, all I need to do is keep cranking the drills up there to keep them charged, and we don't need to look at this aside from collection ever again. And I could have these all outputting to tubes that then feed to a singular chest somewhere. But with the amount of tube laying I've already been doing, I didn't want to do more. Or yet. It was more important we got the resources sorted out. As you'll note, I used up all that iron we had on our person doing all of that. This is why I went ahead and built it when I did, is I knew that that was roughly the amount I needed to do the job. Eventually, as you can see here, these are going to run out of resources, and they'll have to be moved around. But it'll be fine. I am going to want to put another drill or two up there to make sure it has enough wood to keep these all stocked and going. But right now, you'll notice there's actually an iron shortfall going into the tubes. That is if anybody other than me can tell what's going on in this rat's nest of tubage here. As much as I wish I could color code these, I can't. They just are what they are. Ooh, hang on. I just got an email that's interesting. I'm gonna check that while I wait for this to do things. Give me just a second. Okay. It was an email about one of the Kickstarters I did fund ages ago that I'm still waiting for it to come out. You know, as Kickstarters go. I was hoping it was a, hey, we're actually gonna start releasing it soon message. It isn't. But it's fine. I've waited this long, I can wait longer. Yeah, I really should put some more drills on this too. Thankfully, adding drills to these setups is actually very easy. So we'll go ahead and add the drills to the iron first. Because basically, all we have to do to add drills to this setup is slap the drill down, attach a tube, make sure it connects to the other tubes, and you're done. It's that easy. His tubes in this game actually connect relatively intelligently. There's also a fun trick you can do where it'll actually work even better, and that is you can have a drill feed into another drill to get where it's going to. This is gonna look a little fucky just because you can't have it output down and left. These are also all gonna be a little off timing, which is gonna upset me, but it'll be okay. Actually, no. Actually, them timing out right then was perfect, because this will mean they're all relatively synced now, instead of being 2 die off and then 3 die off later. Now, you'll notice the game wants us to research foundation technology, and that's how you build scaffolding that lets you walk on your tubing and on your structures. We're actually going to ignore the game on that one, and we're going to go straight for combustion drills instead. The game's going to want us to build combustion drills here in a little bit, so I'm just going to do it out of order and get us out of crank hell first. Is, to my mind, it makes more sense to secure constant automation than it does for us to build silly scaffolding that we don't need. Because right now I kind of have to mother hen after these 6 drills to make sure that they actually all keep doing their job. Once we have combustion drills, I'm still gonna have to mother hen after it a little bit to make sure that all the piping is doing what it's supposed to be doing. But once that's all secured completely correctly, I won't have to look at it ever again until the resources run out. And it'll also be nice to get away from the constant drill noise. Not that being over here with the constant furnace noise is that much better, but, you know. It's a different tone, at least. So combustion drill research is almost done. The early researches actually go reasonably quickly. There we go. And I can actually just queue up the foundation one to do its job while I'm doing this. Just make me 4 of those for the moment. Because we're gonna do a bit of trickery here. Nope. That would make mechanical sense, but this game does not allow that. We don't have crankshafts or anything in this game. Every single one of these drills is an individual crank. And we're throwing these away here in a second anyway, so no sense worrying about that. These will all be going in the trash can and we're never looking at them again. As soon as these combustion drills get placed on in there. Get out of my face, get out of my face, get out of my face. There we go. And I'm gonna redo the piping as well. Is the wonderful bit of trickery. You'll also notice that it grabs from a larger area around it as well. Just gonna have these pipe into a central pipe here for a second while I demonstrate the idea. Do I have a splitter? I do not. Get me a splitter. Is how this is going to work is we are going to have them fuel themselves. We have it go down into the splitter, and then some of the material that gets split gets fed right back into the combustion drills. It means that the machinery below them does not get as much, but it means that I don't have to manage these at all. there should be enough coming out of these that they will be able to feed themselves and not have any issues. It does mean that we're going to need to add more of them, of course. And the other option is I could put crank drills to feed the combustion drills, which is what I did originally. And I may still do that as like a backup generator system. But since it only can hold the one piece of wood there, it's not like it'll back up the system that hard. And the production rate on these... I don't actually know what the production difference is. Like, you see that there's a fuel difference, even though these don't actually require fuel per se, they require energy, and that's what it's talking about, I'm pretty sure. It's just mechanical energy instead of essentially heat energy. But that is what I put this splitter over here for. Was so that I could take a tube of wood and go this way. I put the torch in the wrong spot. I was originally planning on going across the top with the tube, and then I forgot that I put the splitter there. Is what I can do with this is I can bring this over to feed combustion drills running iron, and I don't need this mess anymore. Even though it's only existed for a couple minutes, it's already obsolete. Realistic that way, really, if you think about it. Like, oh, I just built this, it's obsolete already, time to throw it out. There we go. Just get rid of all of that. Have these feed into the singular tube just like the other one. There we go, that takes care of keeping all of them fed constantly. It's not going to be enough iron to keep this flowing perfectly at the moment. But it's a low enough amount of drills that I can guarantee that it won't interfere with my fuel supply. And it'll still keep us in iron going forward for long enough. Is what I'm going to be working on now is splitting my focus further into getting us the other resources. Like the stone that's up here that we're going to need for doing the foundation research we're doing right now. I did not mean to fall off of there, but this guy's movement is a little squirrely. Make another two combustion drills, rather. Now, we're not going to be running these to a furnace yet, because... Actually, no. What we'll do is we'll run one to a furnace and one to, a chest, so we have the regular stone available and the bricks that we'll be getting from the foundation research we're doing right now, actually. Because I just remembered that that's one of the things Foundation unlocks is bricks. I, for some reason, was thinking bricks were later. So I think I didn't need them until later. So we won't have these feeding into a singular tube. I guess I could. I just have them feed into one tube and then split the tube. It would work just as well, really. Technically it wouldn't, but it's fine. That's a level of detail I don't need to worry about. I'm not getting into, like, perfect ratios and nonsense like that. That's for other people who have more time and patience than I do to worry about. So let's go ahead and cut through here. That will allow me to split some of the wood off going this way as well. Because right now there's more than enough wood in this setup, so I don't need it to be... I don't need to worry about adding more drills to manage to expand that. I can just continue to expand it at the moment. Will it start to become an issue at some point? Absolutely. Is it an issue right now? No. Therefore, I'm not going to worry about it. I will worry about it once I start hitting shortfalls. And by virtue of the way this is all laid out, we will then just be able to expand the system to fix that. As for those wondering, there is still yet more wood supply right here. I'm pretty sure bricks came before some parts of the concept of foundation. Because if you think about it, making a brick is actually fairly easy. Is all you have to do is make a form and then cook that form, and then you have a brick. There's even mud bricks that don't actually take any cooking at all. They just solidify and then they're usable. So logically, brick would probably be fairly early on, but I don't remember the actual time scale off the top of my head. Yes, there was also one that was mud mixed with grass. Is the grass allowed it to hold shape a little bit better, I seem to recall. I don't need this setup anymore. This way we have spare parts available. And I can just reuse that forge up top. Once we have foundation, we can also make ladders. Why ladders are in foundation, I don't know. But it's fine. But if we flatten this off a little bit, we can put the chest here. We can actually do a smart and have the pipeline going right through here. Is what that'll do is the forge will spit the bricks into there, and the stones will also go into there. So I have both available in the same chest, because I'm pretty sure I'm never going to need enough of them anytime soon, at least, that I would need the entire chest to be full of just one or the other, and I can always split it later. A lot of these are literally just, I'm building this as a convenience rather than it being the perfect way to do it. Yeah, I want to say it was mud first, then in clay. He started getting figured out more. That's true. It depends on the definition of foundations they use for this. But the way it's shown, it's more like the building foundation rather than things being placed on top of each other. But I do agree that that is the definition for it. Like, I don't think it's something that really is an issue, per se. It just, there's a difference in perception, potentially, there. And it looks like that drops in on its own, so I'm just gonna leave that way, and it's fine. Now these just need to get piped out. Split that just for my sanity as far as that goes, and there we go. that system is now fully set up and I don't need to look at it anymore. As you'll notice, bricks and stones are both being deployed into it just fine. Which, isn't that a funny thing? Learned recipe, brick. Making bricks. And yes, I am making drills and pneumatic tubes and weird things like that before we understand how to build scaffolding and ladders. Yes, this is accurate. I'm a robot. Sense doesn't make sense. And when you can jump like this and double jump, I feel like ladders are a low priority concern. You know, who needs ladders when you've got jet boots? Let's see. Brain. What else did I need for that? Oh yeah, I need to make planks. That's what's stalling that out right now. Because we don't have assemblers yet, so I can't just automate planks. I need to make them myself. Which, that's actually a good point. Which, fun fact, that's what this other split point was going to be for. But for the time being, I think I'm going to have it output to a chest so that I have a supply of wood for me to use for crafting things. And you may be wondering why I'm making a spot to put it over here. It's because chests don't float, so I actually have to have them touch the ground. If I sound mildly annoyed about that, it's because I am. There we go. But I am going to actually limit this one, because I don't need it leaving a lot of wood over here. I just need it leaving enough wood for me to do anything I need to do. And eventually I'll put the assembler that makes planks where all of this is, and then it'll output to a different chest. Which, speaking of, with foundation done, let's get that one queued up next. Though I need to automate mana before I can actually take advantage of that. I just have that up there to remind me that that's what I'm doing. Yeah, there's your ladders and your scaffold. Which, in some ways, scaffolding and ladders are redundant in this game anyway. Because you can jump up through scaffolding. So if you've got an area where you've got a bunch of tubes going, a scaffold is basically a ladder. I'll demonstrate what I mean right in here, because I'm going to need to be able to go up and down through here anyway. I can just hop up and down this tube section now. Which provides a much more sensible way of getting in and out to this setup than there was before. And you don't even need to have, like, a tube or anything for you to use scaffolding. So it's basically a matter of, do you want to jump around or do you want to press up and go up? Put one there just to take some of the fiddle out of getting up and down there at need as well. Because basically that's the only use I have for scaffolding, is making sure I can get to all of my machinery in one quick move. Which I assume is exactly what it's intended for. Though there is one other wonderful thing it can do, and that is, if I put some scaffolding on top of this forge, not only can we stand on top of the forge, but we could actually place a forge on top of a forge with the scaffolding. I don't think you can do that without putting the scaffolding there. But actually, now that I say that, I haven't checked, so you might be able to stack forges to begin with. But point being, that's an option. And now we have a better way of getting around. And now the game wants us to do what I just started setting up to do anyway. Because that's more or less what the tutorial is for, is it's giving you a basic idea of each of the baseline technologies of the game. So you don't, like, completely disregard automation or something like a weirdo. Because you don't realize it's important or you don't realize it's there. Or you end up underestimating the value of combustion drills over crank drills, etc. Yeah, resource availability will radically change technologies. It would basically become a matter of they would have to make some other manner of glass work if they want the equivalent of glass. Like if they had some kind of like crystal equivalent, like a quartz or something like that, they could turn that into a manner of glass instead. Use some other transparent medium to achieve the same effect as glass. It wouldn't necessarily be perfect for bottles and things like that, but it would achieve the result that would be intended for like windows and things. I'm actually only going to put crank drills on the mana at the moment because we don't need like an infinite source of mana. We just need a bunch of it for now. We are going to need a constant source of it later, but right this second it's not important. And I just can't be bothered to bring the wood automation over here to power more combustion drills. We're also going to be learning electricity here, as you can see with the crank generator and the power relays. So get ready for that to be a concept here in a minute. And if you thought my inventory wasn't full enough before, don't worry, I'm gonna need to start carrying power relays and things like that around to do my job too. You definitely didn't gift it to me, but I also already had it, so that might have been why. Like, I bought that game forever ago. Like, that... I think that actually predates me streaming, now that I think about it. I'd have to check, actually. I don't know if that predates me streaming or not. I think it does, because I want to say that game came out before I started. Yeah. To be fair, some of that's a matter of they find things rather than making them. Now here's where things are going to start getting weird. You're not misreading that when you see that saying essence folding. We're going from crank-based power to folding the essence of things. It just don't worry about it. It's okay. Okay, I need to actually make an assembler now, but we also need to make a power relay and that and that. Okay, I need gears for that, which means I need more iron. Means I actually need to go collect from the iron pile again. You know, the multiple stacks of iron I have just hanging out over here. I need to go back to that dump chest because I've got things I'm not gonna need anytime quick on me again. Oh my god, my jumping, please. I don't know enough about it to necessarily say yes to that statement. But it is probably in that line of thought. But when we get to it, it'll make more sense. Is the best way to get at that. It's closer to a refinement kind of deal. Like, we're taking things and breaking them down to their essence. Let's see. Oh yeah, I still need to make the gears. I was like, why can't I make that? Because it doesn't automatically make all the things that you need. Like, it'll sometimes make one of the things you need if you don't have all of the prerequisites made. And then sometimes it'll be like, you can't make this because you don't have this. It's like, well, if I press the button, you should make all of the things required if I don't have them. If I have the base resource for them. But it can be a little goofy about that at times. There's all the mana we need to get this job done. Make that, make that. It's like, you'll notice we don't have the 2 cranks, but it's actually going to just add on crafting time to account for the cranks. And then it's made. Oh, no. That's way more than what this is gonna do. This does a lot, but it's more esoteric than changing one matter into another matter. This is basically... I would equate this to things being turned into their concept more than anything else. There we go. Queue that up to make planks. And now we'll just have a constant source of planks available until I have this thing do something more productive than that. It's like, you'll notice the main recipe we get out of this is mechanical essence. And we also learn how to make the distiller and the foldery. The foldery is where the essence is made, I believe. And then it turns into taking the essence and making that into things. Like converting mechanical essence into magical essence and things like that. So it starts to get really wild, but it's not necessarily directly turning matter into other matter. Yeah, basically. Eventually it turns into better sword, better gun, better whatever you want. Because that's the end goal of everything, really. Just like real life, the end goal of everything is make better killing thing. As much as I wish that statement wasn't true. Now, I could have the assembler behind me doing these things that I'm making right now, but that would be a lot more of a headache. Because I'd have to bring the materials to it, so... I'll just make these in my pocket and have it make the stupid planks that I need hundreds of that I don't feel like dealing with. Because that's more or less what I end up using assemblers for a lot of the time, is making things I can't be bothered to make hundreds of. Rather than having assemblers making everything under the sun. Because some people get the satisfaction out of the automation itself. I can't necessarily say that I always do, because there are some things that are just annoying to automate. Well, exactly, yeah. Negotiating what you want to get from everyone you need to get it from. They don't want to not have it anymore? Well, that's a shame. This tool will teach them that quite nicely. I'm gonna make that a nice slope. I'm just doing some terraforming while I wait for things to happen. There we go. Essence folding is done. That's another ore spot, but it's probably just the same ore we already have, just more of it. So I've been ignoring it. It might be an ore we don't have, but I'm not going to be able to really do anything with it at the moment anyway. Okay, now I actually... Oh, wait, no, I might actually need that. If that is silver, we do actually need that now rather than later. Once again, forgetting the order of operations here. So let's go take a look at that. I don't know if that'll be silver or not, but we can check. That is silver, conveniently. So that takes care of what we need for the distiller. I'll just need to get a drill setup going here, but we have like 7 things in line ahead of that idea, so we'll come back to that in a minute. Which, that's why I wasn't pursuing it, is I had multiple other priorities in mind first. Like, we do actually need to automate this now, because we're gonna need mana fiber. And mana fiber, oh no, I do need silver for that too. Never mind. I do actually need to prioritize getting that done soon too. Let's get the better automation for the mana first, because we're going to need to run this through an assembler. For efficiency's sake. Unless this is conveniently silver over here. If this is conveniently silver, that's going to be beautiful. Because that means I don't have to go too far with either of them. And that will make me very happy. It might be sandstone, but the node is actually down. Okay, no, the whole thing is sandstone. Oh, put a torch there so I remember. But that is currently useless to us, as to my current knowledge offhand. Clear all this out. It is planned to a degree. Like, it's guaranteed to spawn within X distance of where you spawn in so that you're able to get it. All in all, it's kind of an inconvenient spawn in a way, because the mana and the silver are on opposite sides of the layout here. Which is kind of annoying. But it is well thought out in that you are guaranteed to have what you need nearby. Because of the fact that this game has a limitation in that you can't travel without fixing the emitters so that you can actually go further out. So they needed to be very careful how they placed the ores and such so people didn't get soft locked. I'm just fixing this so I don't have as much up and down when I traverse over through this. Trying to keep this relatively clean. And I forget if this is a solo dev or just like a handful of people. It's one of the two. I want to say it was solo when they made Crea years ago, and then they got some people on the team since then. I know I used to know this information, and my memory is failing me as per usual. But it has since been put under the title of Siege Games, and I just don't remember if Siege Games is multiple people or if it's just a single dev under a title. But it is developer and publisher for this title. Oh yeah, and also, here's your full map. These are all of the areas you can eventually get access to, presumably. Out here, this is just the square we currently are able to get in and around in. And there's another ancient technology over there, marked on our map. So I probably should make my way over there at some point, too. But this is exactly what I was talking about when I said I wish that this could actually be multiplayer, because there's a lot of things to do all at once right now. Now that it's opened up a bit, there's a lot of work to be done, and it can kind of get to be a bit much. It's like, okay, well, which one do I do first? It's like, well, both of these are vitally important to do basically at the same time, because without the silver, the mana doesn't do anything, but without the mana, the silver also doesn't do anything. You're stuck in a catch-22 on that one. They just both need to get done. And what I think's gonna happen is I'm gonna bring the silver to the mana, not the mana to the silver. Because I got a nice flat place here to put the assemblers in. And there's not a lot of room over here. Unless I sit here and dig for a good long while. So I'm gonna need a lot more tubes and a handful of bypasses. Which that might not have been a bad idea for me to have assemblers doing too, is making gears and making tubes. So in fact, something I'm gonna come down here and do then. Which the problem with this idea is gonna be the fact that I can only use crank generators at the moment, so I need to periodically come back down here to make sure the machine's still running. But I can just, like, crank it again whenever I come down here to collect, so it kind of works itself out. And yes, you're just gonna have to get used to me herring off to 1,000 different things. That's a death cave right down there. That's just bad news. News bears all across the board. Oh, good lord. There's a game that would basically fulfill what you're thinking of there, and I just cannot remember the title of it. There's a game that definitely, like, fulfills, like, 90% of what you're describing. And it just doesn't occur to my brain right now. Oh, yeah. If you name a concept, there's a game for it somewhere. Or at this point in life. Why does this look different? It's still labeled soil, but it just looks different than the other ones. Weird. I needed something, and I forgot what it was. Oh, I am actually getting low on iron. I think I ran off because I assumed I needed something other than iron. And then mistakes were made. Either that or I was gonna start setting up the other thing while I waited for all this to make. Okay, so you start feeding out this way instead of feeding into that chest. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna feed out that way, jump up and over the assembler. Because what needs to happen to make these tubes is it needs to be iron ingots and iron gears. So first it goes into the assembler to make the gears, then it hops over to the second assembler so it gets its gears and its plates, and then it'll spit out tubes over here. So I'm actually gonna need a second assembler on that order too. And we're gonna just have it calm down on those tubes for the moment so the assemblers get made, and then we'll have the tubes come back in again afterward. This is what allows us to exist. Without this, that weird, like, pixely darkness you see down there would be consuming everything. What that is, I don't know. I just know that this is keeping it away. That's all we know so far. It's some manner of emitter that's keeping whatever that stuff is away. I also need a crank generator to power all of this. Or I just run a bunch of power relays down here. I'm probably gonna just run a bunch of power relays down here now that I think about it, rather than making a whole other generator. All I know is it kills me. That's all I understand about it. Is down there is death. It's just the bad time juice, and I don't want it. Thankfully, as you can see, these can go through walls and go a decent distance and float, so we're just gonna run it right on down. These actually run further than I think they do, too, so we'll just pop that there. Pop that in right down there, just because it looks a little better there. And there we go. A couple of them look a little weird because they're just floating in the middle of nothing, but I'll get over it. Considering this means I don't have to make an endless amount of tubes anymore, I will accept these charges. So we'll probably only have this make like 2 stacks of them, so it doesn't... Nah, make that 3 stacks, so it doesn't... I have more than I'll ever need, but it doesn't ever, like, get truly excessive. Wait a minute. You're pumping those out the wrong way, you stupid machine. This is why we check these things, because otherwise I would have walked away, come back in like 3 hours and wondered why there was absolutely none of those in the system at all. Why are you still not doing the thing? Oh, because you're just not getting enough bars. Okay. Yeah, this is gonna run rather slowly because it's all running off of one forge. Arguably, I should hook this other forge into it, but that'd be a whole headache to do with the way I have all this wired up. I say as I realize I'm still gonna have to do that anyway, because otherwise this is going to be a different whole headache, and I'm just not here for it right now. Put some of the excess iron over here for the moment. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just chop this all out right quick. Just run a bypass straight down. That's gonna fuck things up, but I'll fix that in a second. You, get out of there. And there we go. Now there's 2 furnaces feeding the machinery over here, and the 1 pair of furnaces on the right will provide more than enough iron for me for the time being. Speaking of, what do I need for... I have enough to unlock the region to the left. Sure. Oh. We now can go over here and there won't be spooky pixelated poop darkness. That burnt a lot of iron, but we have a ridiculous amount of iron, so it doesn't matter. Realistically, I probably should have the machine that's making the gears to make the tubes. I should have that outputting to a chest that then outputs to the machine that needs the gears, but we'll worry about that later. I actually need to make some forward progress on this whole situation over here, or I'm gonna start losing my mind. I say knowing full well that I've immediately forgotten about the fact that I was starting the mana, but it's okay. Things will be done in no particular order, and they will just happen eventually. If people can't handle that, go watch somebody else do it, because this is how I do. Okay, so one of the many things I did ahead of time was I planned for needing to bypass this. So we'll cut that line for a second, put the bypass there. Because I knew invariably I was going to have to run more of this wood in various directions. Which is why I made sure that there was going to be spots where I could bypass the lines at any given place, and why I had so many bypasses on hand. I don't know how much silver I'm actually going to need, so I'm only going to worry about getting 1 combustion drill set up at the second. Of course, the one thing I don't have in my pocket right now. Ah, this inventory is the worst. Like, genuinely, that's my only complaint with this game, is the fact you only have a 2-row inventory, which is not enough. Like, that is just so not enough for what you need. Not with the amount of moving parts that this has and the amount of different items you need to be dealing with. Like, I get that they didn't want to give you a massive inventory, but I feel like 2 rows is just not enough. Because even if I put it up here, it doesn't actually leave the inventory, as you see there, so putting it up on the bar wouldn't change anything. This actually works out, because I can take this and go over to the mana with it, too, so that solves two birds in one go here. And I can give it another split somewhere down here to feed the furnaces that silver's gonna need. As well as feeding a second combustion drill for more silver. I'm almost certainly going to need more than one forge running silver, but right now we'll just do one, and I'll fix it later. Yeah, you know, I'll be real. I don't know why that would remind you of that, but that is an interesting concept that they had you deal with there. I'm gonna have to arrange a couple of other bypasses here for this to be workable. I just realized. So we'll put a bypass in here. How far can bypasses reach? Yeah, that checks out. So why didn't you have the info before that? It seems very important to the whole point of that project. I am doing this such a stupid way, I'm realizing. Well, I'm committed now, so I'm doing it anyway. Time to accept the fact that I'm gonna make people's brains itch a lot. I also don't need this bypass anymore. And this technically doesn't need to bypass this far, but it's okay. I'm gonna just ignore that. I might need to bypass it somewhere else. Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with that kind of problem. Where the infrastructure just does not suit. Yeah, if it's a uniquely local problem, in some ways that would make it expected that you'd know that, but at the same time, what reason would you have to know that information? Like, unless you're working with that, there's no reason for you to know any of that. Okay, now we got the silver over here. I need to run power over here as well. There we go, power's run over here. That's actually one of the benefits of what I just did over on the other side. Is that the power lines were already mostly run over into this area. I'm gonna need at least one assembler to do this job. Because I don't need, like, a ton of mana fiber. Honestly, there's a lot of areas that are maybe not quite that old, but they're old enough that it's a real serious issue. Like, that's an issue in at least one place in, like, every country. that everything is so old that there's not much that can be done for it aside from tear the whole thing down and rebuild it. Which will never happen because 9 countries out of 10 are never going to be able to convince people to pay for that. I'm just picturing all the people staring at this setup that I'm making here and going, why is this this way? And to them I say, well, that's a shame for you. Oh, okay, you have the opposite of the usual problem. Okay. Because usually the people will say they want to do it, and then when either the government or whoever ends up responsible for doing it turns around and says, well, we're gonna need more money to do this, everybody goes, oh wait, hang on, maybe this isn't such a good idea then, and it never gets fixed anyway. Like, I feel like that's one of those things that gets filed under universal problems of either your government refuses to allow something to happen or everyone backs out of it, regardless of whether it is absolutely necessary that it happens or not. I need a little bit of it more tube. Oh, I see what happened. God damn it, the crank generator died. That was inevitably going to happen. I was too busy doing other things to check on it. Which also means I have no new tubes, so I'm back to making tubes myself, like a pleb. But on the bright side, that means as soon as we get the tubes hooked up, this system should work. There we go. I just need a chest for these mana thingies to go into. And I could use our ancient chest, or I could just make a chest right here. Yeah, with only one assembler making mana fibers, I don't think we need more silver. Exactly. The cranker got cronk. And yeah, most German words I'm not going to need a translation for because I studied German for quite a while. It's just really rusty in my head, so I don't speak it ever anymore outside of a handful of words. Because I can never guarantee if I have my syntax and conjugation and word order right anymore. But I can still read a decent amount of the words and understand the point of them. And the definition of a decent amount of them, actually. As long as it's nothing anything too wild. The keyword to all of that, though, being usually. And I can't even say, like, I studied advanced German, either. It was literally the entire high school set of language I learned was 4 years of German. But that was also 15 years ago. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt as to any memory on that one. And yes, I did just have to sit there and do the math for a second. It's not actually fully 15 years ago to the month yet, but it'll get there in a couple months. Things that I just made myself feel old with. That one. Okay, I need to pick up some of the silver bars myself in order to make the distillery. I'm actually going to be better off stealing them from the other end. Understood. I can just pull them out of the machine and it'll keep refilling the machine. There we go. That way I can make the distiller and the foldery. I'm probably going to hand feed the distiller for the time being to then have it feed the foldery. But we'll see how that actually ends up playing out because of the simple fact that I don't remember how all of this works. Considering I played the demo late last year, I think it was. Because I don't think I did that one for the channel, even though I wanted to. I think it ended up not fitting the time frame for that next fest. And I didn't figure that people were going to be super into it. So I opted to save it for when the full game came out, which is where we're at now. Okay, that's going to put right into there. But yeah, essentially, one of the main things that the essences are used for is similar to the research packs from something like Factorio. And what we make mechanical essence out of is the two things that generate mechanical energy, more or less, which is cranks and gears. So if we just make a bunch of cranks and gears, throw them in there, and it'll do the thing. Which is what I was kicking myself about not having a means of just having piles of gears around. But I didn't want to explain it at the time because I'm like, why? Explain what I'm thinking. Yeah. If I explain what I'm thinking, everybody's gonna lose their damn minds. Now, something I should go check. Is there a space? There is. Okay, hang on. I have a cunning scheme. Move that up there. Get rid of that. And now what we do is first we get a splitter. Is the clever part of this scheme is it's not going to interfere with anything. At least it shouldn't. As we remove that, we have this feed directly into a splitter, which will then output the gears both into a chest and into the machine. Is that going to mean that it's going to slow down in terms of making the tubes? Yes. Do I care? No. because I'm not looking at it, therefore the rate at which it produces does not matter to me. It just needs to be making it. This way, when I come back down here in like 3 hours, there will actually be gears here. Editor's note, it will not in fact actually be 3 hours before I go down there again. It will probably not even be half an hour because I'll be like, I need gears. I'm gonna go grab them. Oh, there's no gears yet. Damn it. And that's gonna just be where we live. This is the life we will have to get used to. Like, for right now, I'm obviously gonna just make some gears so that we can get the mechanical essence started. These machines also absolutely do not have to be here. I could put them somewhere where I could automate them better than this, but like I said, I'm just gonna hand feed it right now, so it doesn't matter. Because it also makes fairly slowly, as you can see, with an output of 10 a minute. As to how that whole science works, I have no idea. But bear in mind, it's going to take 60 of them for us to learn the recipe for quartz. So that's not ideal, but that's one of those things where we'll just get to it eventually. They technically want me to be doing this one, the one where we get mana turrets and mana bullets. But we're not fighting anything, so I have no need to be prioritizing that research. It takes 10 less, which is probably why they have you do that one first. But wouldn't it be smarter to make the matter refiner research first? The answer to that question would be yes. In fact, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab that one, then grab fortification. Because you can put 5 things into this research queue, and now that it's all using the same material, I'm gonna do that because it doesn't affect anything negatively. I don't really need repair tools that badly, so we'll go with that one, then that one. That way all of these are cleared up, and then we can worry about working on getting magical essence sorted out in order to go past that point. While that is slowly doing its job, I may very well go explore a bit, because we do have that whole area to the left opened up to us now, and that'll probably be more interesting than watching me stand here and stare at machines. As much as a decent chunk of my brain is thriving sitting here, or fiddling with machines, I know it's not necessarily the most interesting thing for people to watch. I mean, I've already got a laser cannon and a laser sword. I don't need turrets. You know, it's got to be a legally distinct laser sword. It can't be a lightsaber. I can't help but notice that my plan here seems to not be working, because there's not been a single gear placed in there. I might have to actually set up a separate thing to make gears in order for them to be available readily. Well, that's disappointing. Unsurprising, but disappointing. Because I think this isn't... No, that's... Huh? Oh, I think I understand the problem, actually. This is a little bit silly, but I think this is gonna work. Yep, that was the problem. It won't take them directly from the splitter for a chest. That's why it wasn't working. They probably already were. So you wanna have a better joke with that. Whoever came up with the idea of lawyers first gets sued. Get the irony bonus in there too. Now then, let's go have a look out here. Hindsight being 2020, rather than sitting here making a pile of gears, I really should have made some torches. But I can't because I put all my oil clots away. So we'll just go get some oil clots first. I can't help but notice you are stuck in that hole, sir. There, I've helped you. Which, I guess since we're getting void essence from the monsters, maybe that weird pixelated darkness is just the void. Void, 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 void. No, just free iron ingots. That would have been great earlier. I don't know what that is. Just gonna fill this in order to get rid of the soil. There we go. Oh! Oh, that's for monster stables. Okay, so I can start breeding my own weird slug snail things. And we saw the void over to our left a little bit further, so we're already at the edge of this section. So what I'm actually gonna do, and this may sound a little weird, is I'm gonna dig down over here. Not intending to find anything by doing this. I'm intending to use this as a marker. Basically, I'm gonna use this as a way to tell where the edge of where we can dig to is. So anyway, that happened. I don't have a spot for those at all. Yeah, you just gotta be careful with things like voids because they have a tendency to just keep getting bigger. Kind of like a black hole. And eventually we'll just feed it so much that it ends up eating the planet, and it would just really be inconvenient. The sound is having a real hard time with what I'm doing for some reason. Like, it just really does not like the way I'm just tunneling straight down like this for some reason. Like, every now and then the sound effects just give up. Okay, there's the bottom right there. We can't go any further than that without going into the void. Honestly, I can think of some people that would be fine to be chucked into the void as well. For the sake of all of humanity. Just casually filling the space over here up to get rid of the soil that I keep ending up with. Jesus. That was a lot of stone. Well then. Oh yeah, you can also lock slots, because I think that means only certain things go into those spots or something. Yeah, and then once you start doing that, you end up really just unbalancing everything, and it just turns into a whole problem. It's usually just not worth it. Just don't toy with it in the first place. Ah, I see. My tunnel is filled with slimes. Which is honestly kind of fine, because this gives me a great way to get more oil clots. But what I'm trying to figure out is how they got in here. Ah, I see. They just hop right up from over there. I didn't realize that was connected. Because we kind of still have the I can't see anything problem. Oh, right. That's how they got through. They can dig. They don't do it very often, but they can. I mean, I won't deny that statement. Antimatter weaponry is fascinating, but also incredibly dangerous. And highly likely to ruin everything. I think I left my torches over there somewhere. Because I have no inventory space, because this game's inventory is minuscule. Sacrifice the splitter for a second. I did not want the dirt. God damn it. It's also not really a good way to get rid of things like dirt. So I can't seem to just drop the stack like I want to. And there's not a delete. I gotta go waste my time moving all this dirt somewhere else. Now I gotta move the stone somewhere else. And hopefully I can pick up the torches so I can goddamn see what I'm doing. Like, don't get me wrong, this is on me for not having come in here prepared for this, but I hadn't planned on doing this when I came out here. Now there's a oil slime egg. I probably do want that too. Well then. Yeah, this is why I'm like, I don't think we need mana turrets. Is none of the things in this game were a threat yet. I honestly should keep at least one of the spawners alive to use them as a farming tool. But then again, we also can make a monster nest, so it's kind of fine. As much as this is a waste, I'm just going to throw these over here to get them out of my inventory. Yep, that's one of the various issues with that plan, yeah. It's not the only thing that can go wrong with that, but it's definitely one of the more important ones that can go wrong. And, you know, more or less jeopardize our continued existence as a species. But see, I can drop these. I just can't drop... I can't drop blocks is the thing with this game that confuses me. Or at least it doesn't show the prompt when it comes to something that can be used as a block. Maybe it's just not showing the prompt. I don't know. At this point, I'm far more interested in just getting out of this place. Oh, I can do it. It just doesn't give me the prompt to do it. Okay, that's fine then. But now we know where the border is over there. Easier than digging until I run into the spooky void. And as it turns out, I probably should have saved exploring for when we had more than one area opened up, because each of these map squares is smaller than I thought. Pretty much, yeah. Which, to be fair, that is an energy I can get behind in many cases. But I'm also a menace to society on the regular basis, so this all checks out. Put the eggs away because I'm never gonna use those. Well, never's a strong word, but it's gonna be a very long time before I can use those. There we go. That's why the inventory sucked, is the fact that it intends you to upgrade to get more inventory. That makes that a lot more reasonable. And we also now have a whole other line of space, which is probably going to solve, like, all of my problems. All is right with the world now. Which also means I should actually go dig out that ancient tech over there and make use of it sooner rather than later, because the other potential upgrades near us could be great, like the crafting speed increase or the interaction range. Personal crafting of ingots and other forge recipes is kind of neat too, but not like important. Making ore sparkles unique is kind of nice. Health I don't need. Eggs I don't need right now. Hover would be kind of fun. Dropping more items from enemies would be nice. But I think we're definitely gonna grab Overclock, and then I might go grab Reach just to get the other carry upgrade. And it looks like they just cost the ancient tech, so it's not like I need to like get a bunch of resources to go along with that. So let's quickly dig our way over to that, because it's not far, as you can see right there. This was probably intended to be the second one we grabbed, but laziness impeded that plan. Ooh, spooky. It's actually like in a bit of a busted building. So what you're telling me is I should take the ladder and everything with me. Gorilla sapling, huh? I think that's not a plant we've had yet. Actually, do I care enough to grab these ladders? I think the answer to that is no, because there's not enough ladder there. This is another ancient torch, but I also don't care enough about that right now. So, fun story about when I was playing the demo, though. Remember how I said I learned that I die in the weird darkness? I fell into a darkness area when I was digging straight down just to see if I find anything. And I had to actually unlock the area in order to get that corpse back. Because I actually built like a whole set of scaffolds and such to get back to where that stuff is and everything, and I just couldn't do it. I kept dying too quickly. For that to be possible. Just so anybody understands the context of why I'm like, yeah, don't do that. It's not a good idea. Because I already lived that mistake once. Magicite. Which that's a whole other game. Can't say it's a great game, but it sure is a game. Looks like our next easiest paths are gonna be getting through the glass one over here or the iron gear one above us. Which going up is a hell of a thought, now that that's presented in front of me and I pay attention to it. Is there actually something up there, or is that just so you can build your factory taller? The world may never know. the 79 gears in there, except I can't because it only goes up to 50. Make a bunch of cranks while I'm running around the base. Wow, we are almost at the power production of one crank generator too, so we're actually gonna need to make another one soon if we keep using up power like this. I'm kind of surprised we didn't run into that problem sooner. I would have figured we would have run out of power when we put like 2 generators down. 2 assemblers, rather. Yeah, this is what I was talking about when I said that the research speed is very fast on the first couple researches. This is the speed I remembered. Very slow. As you'll notice, we're actually backing up the amount of mechanical essence there is. Because it's the foldery speed that's the issue. So we actually should make a second foldery to speed the research up. But then we're gonna run out of power. So we'll make one of each of those, and that should sort out our issues there. It's just gonna need either A, some stupid piping, or B, me picking up the essence and moving it. Which is probably what's gonna happen, is I'm just gonna pick up some of the excess essence and move it over. Or periodically. Need to boost the research speed. And I'll go put this crank generator next to the other one. Mostly just so I can remember to crank both of them. Oh god, am I looking forward to getting a combustion generator or something like that instead of these stupid things. Goddamn electrical organ grinder over here. I need fucking power. Those. There we go. Now that's moving along better. You could in fact say that our research speed has doubled because it has. From the blistering speed of a tortoise to the great speed of a snail. And remember, this isn't even the research the game wants us to do, so we're not going to see a new tutorial message for a while. I'm going to build up a big excess in this one so I don't have to hang out here. That's at least the idea at the moment. Just throw this ancient brick up here so it's not taking up inventory space. Oh yeah, we have the other ancient tech piece as well. I should increase my crafting speed so I stop hating my crafting speed as badly as I do. There we go. And then we'll either get roll or reach. It's probably gonna be reach, so our interaction range is further. Though actually if I get roll, I can get carry and terraform instead of reach getting us more monster drops, which we already can reach from overclock, regenerate, which I don't need, and crystallize, which I don't need. So I think I will actually get roll, even though I don't need roll. It gets me 2 things I want. And actually excavate is nice to have too. Yeah, that probably makes more sense. We just have to find more ancient technology, which I'm betting since there was 1 in here and there was 2 in here, there's probably at least 1 other one in this square as well. So let's see how quickly we make things now. Yeah, that is about as you'd expect. Not like blistering fast comparatively, because it's only a quarter more speed. But it is, in fact, more speed. It no longer feels quite like it takes forever to do so, so I will take what I can get on that one. This would also be faster if I actually went and collected more of the planks that I didn't realize I didn't have on me anymore of. Is then each of the cranks wouldn't be needing to make planks. Hindsight being 2020, I should have realized I'd used up all of my planks a while ago with how many cranks I've been making. And you know, crazy concept, I should set up an assembler to make cranks. Nah. That would make too much sense, wouldn't it? That would just be crazy. Sounds good. Have a good night, Snorg. Thank you for being here. It's a nice, just chill day today. While I just very slowly automate things. Which is, I know, kind of the opposite of the way I usually do these Saturday streams, where usually it's fast-paced gameplay on Saturdays. But I just wanted to play this. I don't think resin's important for anything yet, but we might end up needing that at some point. Also, I gotta love how I was setting up like I was gonna put everything down on that main floor at the bottom, and then it all just ended up getting jumbled all across the goddamn stratosphere down there. Which is totally not what I'm starting to do up here at all. Nope, I'm not totally about to flatten off this entire upper area just to build the factory proper. Nope, that's totally not what I'm doing. Is initially what I was trying to do was avoid doing tons of digging, because I figured that would eventually become boring for you guys to watch. As it stands right now, I don't have anything that's interesting per se to watch, because I don't have a lot of factory work to do at the minute while I'm waiting for things to research. So it makes more sense for me to sit here and at least like dig things out, flatten things off, and at least, you know, do something, rather than standing there staring at the factory, whirring away. So I'm just gonna make a nice big flat area up here, and then we're going to start rerouting a bunch of the material up here. And we're gonna set up like a big assembler farm and everything up here. Because as you can tell, we've already pacified the area up here. It's not like we even need to fend off threats or anything. Which is why I'm kind of confused about the need for turrets, aside from I could set up the turrets just out of range of a mob spawner and have them farm monsters for me. That would be useful. But like, monsters don't spawn as far as I can tell without there being a spawner around, and we cleaned all of those out of the area, so it's not really a problem. And we don't have any monsters that we've aggroed to the point where they start digging through the walls to get toward our base or anything either, so it's not like that's a threat. Which, that is one thing I will say, is I am wondering if this is a game that I might have wanted to wait a little bit on. Because I don't know how much is actually in this version of the game yet. Because bear in mind, this, as I said before, is not a 1.0 release. This is a early access release. it's a very good early access release. There has been no bugs or anything crazy like that. There's some work that probably could be done on the pacing, perhaps, but some of that is also just the way I do things might not be working entirely. Like, there's definitely some better automation I could have done straight out the gate that would have helped speed things along even more than I already did. Like how I had set up the automation for the iron. If I did that for everything, we probably would be sitting pretty right now and everything would be in great shape. But I think I'm slightly in the wrong headspace to do a game like this properly right now. Because as all of you were very readily able to tell, I got very lazy very quickly with this. There's so many more things I could have done. And I still could do to make this whole setup a lot better, which is what I'm starting to do now. But it's gonna take like a major rework of this whole setup probably. And I will say, we did not get the best layout of these ore spawns either. This could have been so much better. I also don't need this whole big slope necessarily anymore. We can set up scaffolds to get around so I can actually fit more machinery in. It's gonna ruin the aesthetic of the place, but it'll be okay. Eventually, aesthetic has to give way to industry. So I would like to point out, it's 2 combustion drills that are powering the entire network with wood and powering themselves. Like, how crazy is that? That just the 2 drills have been plenty for the entire network of combustion drills we have around. I say as our crank generators run out again. Oh, speaking of, that's actually a good thing I should bring up. Interactive interfaces is something you can turn on and off in your accessibility settings. Presumably that means you don't have to do things like the crank minigame. You don't have to sit there and whip your mouse around a crank if you don't want to, which is great for people that might like have a wrist issue or something. So good marks for that one as well. Admittedly, the only other accessibility thing that was in there was screen shake. They could do a bit more than that, but it's good that they at least have some accessibility settings at all. That is still leaps and bounds ahead of some games. And no, I'm not actually referring to a specific game with that statement this time. That's just a, you know, people could do better statement. This one over here has run out of essence, so we'll go ahead and feed it a bit more. I mean, all of these systems are backed up now, too, which is a whole thing. Yeah, it was this and the mana fiber that needed silver. Make me a bunch of assemblers, because at the very least, I want to start visualizing out how I'm going to redo things. But that's probably going to turn into a very long process, so buckle up for that if I do follow through on trying to rebuild this. Because it's going to involve me ripping out most of the piping and redoing it. So if you're not down with that, I understand if you don't want to stay here to watch that. But that's going to be the thing that's going to happen next, probably, is I sit here and do a lot of piping removal and rebuilding. It's either that or I continue to half-ass this, and it's just gonna lead to more problems. That said, it hasn't really per se led to problems yet, if that makes sense. Like, it's not great, but it's not broken either. And there is always the old adage of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So there's that. I don't know. I feel like I should fix this, but I'm also genuinely questioning whether it would be worth it. Okay, I do have to double jump to get up there. So we can just slap another one in just to make sure that I don't have to worry about that. There we go. Because this is also a much quicker way back up rather than the ramp as well. Is the idea that's coming to mind for me right now is I take a series of tunnels through here, cover over them so I can walk back and forth cleanly with scaffoldings, and run each of the materials that we need up through those tunnels to the surface, and have everything that doesn't need to go to the surface running around down here, just so it's all nice and clean. So for sake of example, I'm gonna lay out a place for iron to be worked on, probably over here. So there'd be the assembler for gears, the assembler for the tubes. Actually, let's move that. Let's leave a little bit of space between those so I can have the chest set up properly. Because it would be a matter of tube going across, splitter in the middle there so that it goes down into the chest as well, without it immediately being a case of it fighting with itself the whole time. Because that, I think, is part of the problem down below right now, is that the system is constantly fighting against itself. So this would be making gears, this would be making tubes. This is intended to be a factory floor that replaces, like, all of our production down below. The other clever idea is I could have put scaffolding on top of one of these assemblers. That. And built them vertically. That would actually take up less space, so I think I like that. It's gonna look a little goofy, but I'm down for it looking a little bit goofy. Oh, god damn it. Because then we just take the scaffolding out another step, and we have it feed the chest for the other thing right there. We can now make quartz, by the way. We have no use for quartz, but we can make it now. Hooray. The problem with it being set up like this is I now have an issue with fitting the iron plates in. But there's a solution to that issue that actually might look somewhat elegant. I say somewhat because it's gonna look a little ugly no matter how I do it, but I think that this will work. I just wanted to swap those two, but I ended up destroying everything in the process. There we go. So I can actually start using these properly instead of being a fool. So what I can do is just do that and have that feed in like that. Ah, I hate how that works. I ended up overwriting something again. So I try to click up here, but if I'm holding something when I click it, it destroys it. Its spot, and it's stupid. Like, it's a good idea on the whole, it's just a very bad idea for the way I'm doing things. So it just drives me slowly insane. But the idea from here is then we dig down underneath, which I've fucked up by placing all of this first, because I now need to remove this assembler in order to dig here. But that's easily fixed. And we just have 2 tubes of iron coming in like that. One to feed this machine, one to feed the other machine. And that all is condensed down into a fairly small package. There's probably a more efficient way to do this, and a way that doesn't look as ungainly as this does, because it really doesn't look the best. But it's compact. So I think that that's a decently good idea. At least as far as a setup just purely for creating that one thing and having an overflow for the intermediate product along the way. Which we don't really have overflow, underflow tubing to work with right now, but it's okay. Now, a couple of the problems with this idea is going to be, one, this is going to take a lot of tubing. And two, you'll notice it kind of interferes with where the sandstone is, with where I've decided to put this. And that's just going to have to be the way that goes, because we don't have a need for the sandstone at the moment, and I'm not that concerned about it. Will that potentially come back to bite me later? Most likely. Am I gonna have a clip thrown at me later when I end up having that issue? Maybe. Ah, that's why research stopped. Okay. The crank generators died again. I need to invest in some hamsters or something. Have them just run in wheels instead of me sitting here cranking these generators. Or hell, train some of those like oil slimes if I start breeding them to run on a treadmill or something. I mean, I guess they would just kind of ooze on a treadmill, but maybe it would work. I don't know. We can figure something out. Now, one major issue we're having is this is not generating enough iron either. This needed to be expanded a long time ago. But I was too busy doing 30 other things to take care of that problem. Which, let me tell you, the constantly doing 30 things and not getting enough of any of it done is story of my goddamn life. I swear. There are times where I genuinely wonder if I should actually go speak to somebody about whether I have, like, ADHD or something. with the amount of times I cannot deal with coherent in ways to handle things. I just end up all over the damn place. It's like, it's hard to tell sometimes whether it's something like that or if it's just I'm bad at prioritizing. And both can be true at the same time. Like that, those aren't mutually exclusive concepts. If anything, they are very much not exclusive concepts at all. There is one layer of things that I just realized I wasn't considering. But there is a solution to that layer of issues, and that is I pull the tube up a bit and we rethink that a little. The idea being we'll make a forge set down here in the ground that feeds up into this. So we just like clear a section of this out to use as the forge floor. Especially since we already have wood being piped over to here. Which I think the wood might be one of the things that doesn't change much. Because that's going to be something that's going to remain networked under the ground here the whole time anyway. So there's not really a need for that to change. But this way I'll be able to put in a lot more forges and all that good stuff. Because what I can do is make some floating platforms for them to rest on. This way, the iron and the wood get piped into the forge from underneath, and then the resources get pumped out the sides. I'm making all these hand gestures like y'all can see that. And I could make y'all see that, but I'm not interested in that thought right now. One day I'll get my model hands, and then the world is doomed. Yeah, I can literally just, like, set it up like that. And then just connect the dots from there, basically. Which actually means I need to destroy the floor here and turn that into scaffolding as well. As soon as I can let go of this goddamn pipe. There we go. So what I'm saying is I'm actually going to need a shitload of scaffolding to do this the way I want to do it. I'm going to make a bottom floor where I can walk, and also the pipes can come and go freely. Because that's part of the plan with this, is making it easily traversable as well. Now, I have two options with how the wood is right now. I could split it off and send it down through where the mana goes, or I can move it, like, down and around straight away. And I think I'm just gonna go down and around straight away. Because what I can do is then just use bypasses to get the iron across where the wood is, and then I don't have to mess with it at all. Because it'll be something like that. Like that. Like that. Yeah. I think this is going to end up looking more coherent than the previous setup does. And it should actually be a little more efficient as well. And it's got room for expansion this way as well. Actually, I can do one better here. They don't have to be a space apart with the way I'm doing this, since they're pumping out through the bottom and top. I can actually have them all side by side. If you're wondering if I punched that hole in the wall on purpose, for once, yes I did. Because I did that to get myself light without having to worry about switching to torches and putting a torch down. Just fix that right quick. Fix that. I mean, I need to make more forges for this idea now, but that's okay. Because the idea is to make a crazy amount of iron so that I don't have to worry about the iron supply being an issue anymore as well, because we have plenty of baseline iron being made, but we don't have enough of it for the products after that to be made in a way that I'm happy with. And I'm betting our power is going to run out again, and I'm too busy working on this to worry about that right now. But like, we can put 6 furnaces side by side, for example, and have all of them point up right into the same line, which it would probably be more effective to have them on separate lines after a point, but for the time being, this is what I want to do. Now what I can do is immediately set up where the bypasses start and except that's not where I want them to start and end, is it? No, it isn't. No. Means I'm gonna have to ruin the walkway again, but it's okay. Yeah, because they can actually go all the way from down here. Which means I'm going to need to extend the breakage in the floor there, but that's okay. Because it needs to be underneath where the wood's passing through, so that it can safely go up without interfering with anything. Okay. So that solves that. That actually uses up all of the bypasses I made, so I clearly made the exact right amount. Completely accidentally, but we don't need to talk about that. I'm gonna need more than that of those. Does this make sense? I think this makes sense, what I'm doing here. Basically, this gives me a guideline as well for where I'm placing all of those. Which means I need to get rid of that, fix that. And then we fill in each of these gaps with pipeline. Pipe up, up. And then this whole furnace line is ready to go once the iron's brought over. Which, this I still don't like. I feel like there's a more compact and elegant way I could do this. Ironically enough, literally just by moving this whole line up a few, I could do it cleaner and simpler. Because literally it just needs to bypass over the one pipe. It doesn't need to go this far. But it's fine. It'll still do the job, and this gets it closer to where the iron is. which thus means I need to use less piping to get there. Yes, less used piping. That's what I was originally going to say, in case anybody's wondering why I'm giving myself hell for that. It's because I reversed the sentence for a second. We can just throw 2 of those in. Because you'll notice it's feeding above immediately, so I don't even need to change anything here to feed those. They just need to feed their ore upward. Yep, there went the power. Get with that in a second. If you're wondering how I could tell that was going the wrong way horizontally with the arrow blocked, I couldn't, I just guessed. And I guessed correctly. That reminds me, I should preemptively place these, because they're gonna need to be here for this system to work. This one doesn't need it because it's the end of the line. Now let's go collect that pile of tubes that should be available to me down here. Like, don't get me wrong, I kind of like this setup, it's just kind of ugly. Like, I stand by the fact that it has that whole symmetry situation going, but other than that, it's kind of ugly and horrible. And I'm pretty confident that it is horrifically inefficient in some way, shape, and or form somewhere, somehow. But there we go. The great furnace line of 6 is ready to go. I more than likely am going to turn around the other combustion drills to feed this, because you'll notice it's feeding just fine at the moment, but there's gaps in the ore that's coming in, which means these 2 drills are not going to be sufficient for its needs. But if I just quickly flip this one spot around and send them up, this shuts down this whole line down here, and I understand that, but I'm also not going to be using this whole line down here anymore anyway. Like, basically all of this setup down here is going to get picked up and turned into something else. Which is giving me back a bunch of my pipeline, as well as more assemblers and all kinds of good things like that. And freeing up a bunch of the wood. I'm not picking up that box because that box is going to flood my inventory with iron, and I don't have room for it. As it stands, I'm going to get a bunch of iron and ore that I need to then move somewhere. But the benefit to the fact that I'm doing this way is when I'm on the surface, you aren't going to be able to tell where half of the working parts are. You'll just see the pipes coming up through the ground into the assemblers as your hint as to how this whole system functions. It's kind of like cable management in that way, is you're hiding the important bits, but the important bits are also the bits that are kind of ugly. So you hide them so that they do their job, but people don't have to see them doing their job. Don't mind me just dumping hundreds of dirt down this hole here. That's totally not going to come back to haunt me later. You may or may not be able to hear it, but I am mashing the hell out of the Z key because you can't hold it to do this. I have to do this an individual button press for every single one of these. And I don't even know if that's going to get me enough room for all of these gears anyway. I really shouldn't have tried picking up that box without checking. That's absolutely on me. How many more of these do I have left? Jesus, I'm only halfway. You know, a smarter man probably would have just taken these and put them in a box. I could still do that. I could stop at any time. I could put them in this empty box right here. Because I'd already picked up all of... Yeah, see? This is what would have happened if I tried to pick this up. Iron would have went everywhere, and I would have never had a hope of picking it all up. Not without emptying half my inventory. So I do need some of that. Is this enough? This is enough gears to open that region up there. So sure, why not? Do it. So now we have the region directly above us open. Don't know if I'm ever going to be able to use that information. But, you know, we have it now. Metal plating. Fiberglass. Okay. It's just nice to make sure to have more regions opened up, you know? Oh yeah, I should probably grab these two pipes before I run off. This is just gonna sit there and rot for the time being, because none of those are things that are vital to me. I'm certainly not gonna miss that jump. Never having to do that jump again will actually make me very happy. And this also means that aside from going down here for upgrades, we never need to come down here again. We never need to pass this line. So it helps shorten the amount of random running around I'm doing as well. Because that's going to be the key to the advantage of centralizing things, is the fact that I don't have to run around as much, which then makes my own movements more efficient. There we go. It got stuck, so I wanted to fix it. There we go. Yeah, this had ran out of cranks a while ago. That's why research stopped, but one problem at a time. And this stopped because it's all backed up now, which is absolutely fine. Let's see. So I do want to automate things like cranks and such as well. Because what the idea is going to end up being is we're going to have multiple floors to this whole setup. On the upper floors is going to be where research and such take place, because all of the intermediate products and such will be made on the floors directly underneath them. So they all just pump up into the research machines. I'm basically making a similar idea to, like, not quite a main bus in like Factorio, but something in that same vein, but vertical instead of flat. Because there's gonna be like a main artery for each resource. Like iron's gonna have a main artery that goes up like this one you see here. Actually, then, if I'm gonna do that, I just had an idea for how to make this slightly better. It's gonna be less compact, but it'll be better for me in the long run. What I do is I take this whole setup a step out. Some of you may already be on this idea, but I'll explain in a second if it doesn't immediately make sense. I fucked up though. I'm hitting all the wrong buttons because I'm trying to explain my thought at the same time I'm doing it. Because we still... No, I need to go a little bit further out if I'm going to do it that way. Because what I'm trying to do is remove it interfering with itself, and that's going to take a little bit of work. I should have chests on the bar too, but it's fine. We'll worry about putting a chest back in there when it's actually relevant. Because what I do is I go an extra step higher up as well, so that I can remove this spot, put a splitter here, and then we bypass the space there so that the iron bars continue up, so I can actually make the main line idea that I was talking about work. The bar on the right had to move out in order for the splitter to function, is why that had to come out a step. Otherwise, that splitter was going to immediately start feedback looping the iron plates, and it would just jam this whole system up and fuck everything. And we also have a nice convenient space to put that. So that this is all powered up now. And we can watch it do its job for a moment to make sure it works. Yep. Smooth as silk. It's not the fastest, and arguably I should probably have two things making gears going into this system. Because the problem is going to end up being... Since it's feeding the gears off into something else, it's going to lead into productivity problems. So at the speed these are made, it looks like the gears are actually producing more than it needs. So no, actually that should be fine. But I did screw this up again. So we quickly pop that out. Pop that there. The chest underneath it. Rotate it. It's either that or I sink the chest into the floor again. Which, actually no, there's another way around that too. Which leaves that side path open. We do that. This way, this can still shoot off to the side, and there's gonna be a reason for that. The reason for that is since there are excess gears coming off of this, I can use this to feed the what's it called? This thing, the distiller. Since the distiller needs iron gear wheels for mechanical essence, I can have that iron gear wheel set move up the next couple floors in order to do the distiller just fine. And we can actually just plop these out in open air, apparently. So that's cool. I didn't know I could do that. I was about to say I'm gonna have to put something up there in order for that to work. Like, I thought I was gonna have to, like, connect to the pipes or something. But you could just put those in the sky, apparently, so that's cool. So what I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna immediately set up the piping for this part, at least. Because all that has to do is just go straight up. And then we'll put the distiller above that spot. So let's go get the distiller. Since this is all kind of fucked at the moment anyway, I'll just rip it up and save research for when we get it working properly. I need to go make space again, though. I kind of need most of the rest of these things. I'm just trying to consistently get rid of the odds and ends that I absolutely don't need. Now, the big issue is going to be the fact that I need the mana thread in there, too. Which, that's going to be a bit of a headache to get piped up there the way I want to have it be, if I want to have it produced up there. Like, obviously, it's going to go right in here next to the gears at the end of it. The problem is I have to pipe 2 products into there. Well, one of the 2 products is going to be very easy to pipe in because it's right underneath my feet there where the mana rocks are. And I can put a bypass in for the wood so the wood's not a issue. This spot is such a pain to go up and down through. There we go. I just could not get him to drop down for some reason. Is I can turn this entire section here into a bypass. But if I do that, then I don't know if these keep getting fed by the wood that way. Their collection range is decently long, so as long as I don't go too crazy with that, that should be okay. And then I just reverse the direction that the piping from them is going and just send it up. Which then just means I move the silver line further to the left, actually. So that's not going to be a problem at all. Okay. I'm less concerned about this project now. So what we do is we just trim this like that. And we send those across thusly. And if this one ends up running out of wood, in fact, yeah, I mean, I actually have to move that bypass 1 space. Just to make sure that that one gets fed. Because I don't think it'll pull from within a bypass. So now that has the edge of its collection range at the start of that bypass. So it should collect just fine. Yep, just proof a point. Pull that out of there. Though it's got 99 mana, 999 mana in it anyway. It's probably not going to be a problem anytime soon. Even if it was broken. And that just goes up that way, like that. And what we'll do is we'll have the creation of... no, we can have the creation be up there alongside the other thing. It'll be fine. I was debating having it happen in here so it's out of sight, but the point is so that all the assemblers are in sight up there. Oh wait, no, this isn't going to exist anymore. What am I doing? Move that. Remove this whole line. Get used to hearing me say, what am I doing? Because boy, do I never know what I'm doing. I cleaned that out a little too hard, but it'll be okay. Sure, that's fine. We have room for it, so pick that up too. Just so I don't forget that it's there. We'll leave the power wires because we need that for powering this area up here. And we just move this so that it proceeds. And then these just go right up into the assembler in tandem, and that's all good. Just a nice, simple, elegant solution to it. Relatively elegant. Just try not to think too hard about the fact that that silver is coming all the way across this entire base to do this. Now, the problem is it's coming to the surface a bit far to the side here. So I'm wasting some space. But at the same time, I'm not, like, trying to cram everything in here. I just was doing this compact because I wanted to see how I could do it if I wanted to do it. So we'll stick to having the assembler just chilling right there. We'll throw a power wire in right here just to make sure that this is powered. Because what we do is we set this up to do mana thread. We have it output that way. I'm just having a realization as I'm doing this. Why am I bringing the mana thread up here? Is the mana fiber was just to make the machines. It wasn't actually necessary for any of the production in the machine. My brain just convinced itself it was. So it doesn't actually need to move over there specifically at all. Like, I'm gonna bring it up here just because I want everything to be created up here. Oh, and that power wire actually can't be there. It being there would be a problem. So we'll just move it over one. Because it would be blocking the pipes, I think. Like, doing this is completely extraneous, as it turns out, but it's fine. And we just have it output to its little chest right there. So that's taken care of now. And I could have the wires going across here and it'd be a whole thing, but I don't need to. That means I have a different problem now. Specifically, that different problem is I then need a production for planks to be in here. And get to where the iron is. Which I can do reasonably easily. Okay, so that's fine. So let's place an assembler here. And this assembler will be making cranks. Actually, no, don't put it there. Don't put it there. That's silly. Putting it there is a stupid idea. What I can do... I might not even have to do it this way that I'm about to do it. But I'm doing it just for sake of. Because it makes my brain feel better about it. Because what I do is if I put it here and have it pump upward, I don't have to move it like at all in order for it to be right in line with where the gears are going. And it also doesn't interrupt the iron line, so the iron line can continue to go higher if it needs to. But what I was realizing is the collection range on these things goes out to the sides. So I think if I just have the pipe going up past it, it would collect what it needs from it as it goes by. I keep working off of logic from other automation games, which is what's screwing up some of what I'm doing here. In case people are confused why my logic works the way it does for some of this. It's because usually things can't pull out of the side of pipes in most things. The fact that this can confuses me. So if we just put a splitter for the wood right here, I then just pipe the wood up the side here, so that I can make the planks. just wanted to clean up the falling biomass. I am gonna cap this hole, but I'm not gonna bother putting like a scaffolding set through the hole here because there's no point. That'd be redundant. The only question in my mind is whether I want to have the wood pipe snake across the bottom here and then go up, or do I want to just go surface now, make the planks, and then have the planks go across? I feel like I'd rather have the pipe for the wood be underneath. Have it go like this way. And then have the assembler making the planks be like right here. It just shortens the pipeline for the planks a bit. And this way I can just power the assembler right there like that. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. It's slightly jank positioning, but it'll be fine. Is the thing that bugs me a little bit is just the random left turn this takes part way up. But we then have it pump up like this, but not pump up the jam. It doesn't need to pump any jams up. Go this way, because it'll be obscured by the walkway there. Bypass across, pop up, and there we go. That now has wood pumped into it and iron pumped into it, which will allow it to make cranks. So we've now automated gears and cranks in order to power the machine to make the research. All on a vertical plane. My mouse keeps drifting ever so slightly because my hands are not perfectly still at all times when I'm moving. So let's go start our power back up so we can actually get that whole system moving. So as it stands, we may not actually have enough power anymore for all of the things we have working. But we can remove this plank machine, for example, from the system. I say, knowing full well that I've just fucked up by removing that chest. There we go. That chest is gonna have to stay there for the moment because I don't have the inventory capacity to fix that. But that allows me to trim the wood system a little bit, trim the energy usage a little bit, and keep things on track there. Hopefully I am explaining things well enough that they're making sense. If they're not, people are more than welcome to yell at me and be like, hey, what the hell are you on about? What do you mean with this? Insert whichever part you need help answering. And I will try to explain the thought process as best I can, but there are some things that I'll think of that I cannot guarantee will make any sense even if I explain them. Because that's just the nature of my wacky thought process. And there we go. Just for sake of if I decide to expand things and the fact that I'm going to need to have something making magic essence at some point. Oh, actually, I shouldn't have put it right there. That was stupid. We'll have it go up a floor just so there's room for me to expand it if I need to. Don't mind me as I just fumble all of the inputs of what I'm trying to do. Because if you remember, I do have the 2 folderies. And we've proven that one of these can feed 2. So I've actually screwed up my positioning slightly, but it'll be fine. So what I can do is put them both there, put the splitter right between them. And there we go. Now we automatically power 2 folderies with 1 distiller. And I don't have to look at that again, aside from making sure that the cranks keep the power going to this. We now have automatic research. It's slightly ungainly automatic research, like I can trim this whole bit off the side here so it looks cleaner. That's intended for when I expand this, which it can expand theoretically indefinitely. It just would need splitters and extras of things, probably. Like, for example, if this game has or gets a blueprint feature, I can blueprint this entire setup, move it a few feet to the right or left, and just hook up all of these lines to it again, and it would all function exactly the same. Like, there's some parts of this that I don't like the way it looks because it's extraneous movement. Like, this comes out farther than it needs to just to go around that assembler, for example. I could just put a bypass in so it goes in alongside it, and that would save some pipes and save some material. I may or may not be sitting here considering whether that was going to actually be worth doing or not. This also means that I don't need this entire downward bend in this pipeline either. So I could fix that if I want to. I don't think I want to right now. I don't see a reason to do it right now. But that is something to consider at some point. It's also worth noting that all of that silver is powered by one forge. I need to get like a battery or something. This way, the second the cranks stop, the whole system doesn't shut down. That would be a wonderful addition for this game, if there isn't already a battery in the game somewhere. Gadget. Porter. Oh yeah, porters are going to be wonderful when we get them. There's a battery. I don't know if that's the kind of battery I'm looking for, but there's at least a battery. Power relay 2s. Power chamber. That's better power production, so that'll probably get rid of our need for the cranks to begin with. These are also nice. They just make you better at everything. Might not actually be a bad idea to queue up research speed 1 before we proceed to the next tier. No, hang on. Tools, fuck off. Give me porters. I don't need repair tools, so we'll go in that order. And then we'll put that on there. Because we do need magical essence so we can start preparing to get the higher tier researches done. But I want porters. If we get to porters today, you'll understand why I wanted them. Actually, I can do this. Takes items out of containers and structures and places them onto the connected transport tube. I misremembered what these were. I thought these were tubes that didn't need a connection between them entirely. I thought they were going to, like, teleport items between them. I thought that's what those were. It is still going to be very useful to us, though, because it allows me to pull items out of containers, so I can put, like, overflows in between my systems, so I don't have to have that extra chest out to the side for the gears, for example. I'm less excited about them than I was a moment ago now, because I remembered wrong what they were. Magicite we do need for the other thing. Why is obsidian all the way over here? That seems silly. Matter compressor. Oh yeah, we just finished matter refining, so I can actually start doing that. But you'll notice now that it's automated, the research speed seems quicker. That's mostly because of the fact that there's no fiddle to it anymore. I'm not watching it, so it's the old watch pot never boils situation. Wait, am I out of... Oh, it has to be made in an assembler. I see, I see. I'm borrowing this assembler for a second then to make a matter refiner. Because I have everything I need for it, I just don't have the ability to make it in my hands, apparently. So we'll just have it make me a couple of them right quick. So I don't need to think about that. We are probably going to wrap up before too awful long, because as much as I love this game, brain is not at full capacity. And it's warm today, which is helping melt my brain more. Because this is the first day, I think, this year that it's been a little over 70 degrees, which is not that warm until you consider the fact that it's been consistently in the 30s and 40s for the most part lately. So, it's not great. There we go. Now we can put this back on its mana fiber, and we can get our... I didn't mean to make 5 matter refiners, but that's fine. We'll just plump one of them down there so we can take a look at it and see what things do. So this is where we get just generic metal, generic mineral, mana, and biomass. What do I need from... How do I... Wait, I'm just inputting mana to get... What? The fuck do you mean? What? I feel like this is backwards and I'm confused. Distilling various matter into its pure form. So you would think it'd be... Ah... Okay. So I put iron in and I get metal. Okay, okay. So this is actually not a bad place for it to be then, because I can put it on the line where the iron goes. And have it do its job then, in terms of making metal at least. Okay. The mana one confused me because we already had base mana, so it was a bad example, I think. But we can literally just pop the refiner right there. Power it by just like slapping a wire over here. It doesn't really matter. Metal, and now you see it just feeds automatically. And it's got plenty of ingots coming up, so it's not like it's going to interfere with any of the machines using anything. That's the problem it's going to cause right there, though. I should have turned where it was outputting before that. But it's fine. We fixed it. Crisis has been averted before it became a crisis. And we'll just put a box over here for the moment, because we don't entirely know what that metal is for, aside from we know we need it to get access to another area. Like, I'm sure it's used in a bunch of recipes past the tier we're at right now. Which is why I'm having it produce automatically. What I'm gonna do, though, is probably limit this to being, like, 2 stacks or 3 stacks. Because I don't want it turning all of our iron ingots that we produce into metal. In fact, while I'm sitting here... So that'll be... I will use stone to make mineral. And wood would turn into biofuel at a decent rate, but the fuel rate for biomass is lower than wood, but you get more biofuel out of a piece of wood than you do fuel out of the piece of wood. I remember seeing that when I was looking at things before. As you'll notice, it refines into 4 biofuel and gives 120 burning fuel. Each biomass gives 50 biofuel. So you get 200 biofuel worth of biomass out of a single piece of wood. So you gain an 80 biofuel advantage there. You know, I'm just stupid now that I think about it. Is it literally said on there refines into X, but this one doesn't refine into anything. I can actually use the excess silver we have to make metal as well. Planks refine into 2 biofuels, so I'm never doing that. There's no point in doing that. The fact that stone only turns into 1 mineral is kind of upsetting. It makes me wonder if there's something that gives you a better rate of mineral. Like, I feel like there isn't, but there might be. Actually, sandstone might refine into better amounts of mineral. Though that would be weird, but it might. I say that only because it's not the first stone I ran into, so maybe there's something special about sandstone in this world. Let's go look at that. We'll go pick up a piece of sandstone and see if it refines into more. There's fortification done. Oh, now it wants to teach me about mana conduits. Okay, I'm actually interested in that. Oh! Duh. Of course mining sandstone isn't gonna just give you sandstone. It gives you sand, stupid. Actually, does that make sense? I don't actually know if that makes sense. Doesn't matter. Just throw that over there for now. I don't need that at the moment. We are gonna need glass for a few things soon, I think. Aren't we? Yeah, we need glass for mana turrets, in fact. And mana bullets are just mana and iron, so that's easy. Not that it especially matters. Like, again, I don't need a fortification that I know of yet, so I'm still kind of confused by that one. Intermediate product that does a specific thing. Yeah, you need gadgets for transmitters. Fiberglass, I assume. Yep. Oh, it needs resin. Okay, I knew it was gonna be glass and something. Ah, glass and resin. We don't have a consistent source of resin right now. Resin and minerals, so we're gonna need a way to get a lot of resin. Is there a way to, like, convert the generic back into a variety of forms, then? Is that the thing? Like, that just makes number 2s of everything. There's assembler 2s down there. Like, I'll be the first to say, I don't entirely understand some of where this line's going. I didn't want that in the queue, because we don't have magical essence yet. We're going to have it by the time we get down there, probably, but I can't guarantee that. Though I want metal plating before that, I think. In fact, I probably want metal plating before repair tools. Because again, repair tools don't matter. There's nothing we need to repair because nothing's been attacked. Because there's nothing to attack what we have built here. Which is what continuously confuses me. Like, I feel like a lot of this will have a purpose in the future, but doesn't particularly have a purpose right now. I guess let's go look around for that mana conduit. See if we see one. Though, no, we walked around the surface we could see already and we didn't find one. But did I need to upgrade my emitter so I can see more area? So I know to go down we needed a bunch of metal. But going down won't help us when it says it wants us to look for something on the surface. We need glass to go that way, magicite to go the other way. So I guess I should actually get glass going right now then. And if anybody's wondering why there's like that slight stuttering happening now and then, I don't know what's going on with that either. I've just kind of been ignoring it because it's not really hurting anything. Because this isn't a game of urgency in any particular way. We can just pipe the wood down from this setup here to power a couple drills for this, so that's easy. We don't have any drills in our pocket at the minute, though. I'm probably only gonna, like, do one drill, one forge for this, because I don't think it's gonna need a lot. But I don't know how quickly glass makes in this game. We also don't have a chest on hand. I'm literally just gonna have the combustion drill feed straight into it. Since this is purely just a learning endeavor at the moment as far as these things go. Now we just make a chest, place it there, and we'll be in business. Okay, so glass makes decently quickly. It's not like, oh my god, fastest thing in the world, but it's automated now, so I can walk away and come back in a few hours and we'll have enough glass to go that direction. I can make a better automation for it if I start really needing a lot of it, which so far we don't. Like, I could literally just hook it up to the system going up this line here and just follow the iron line across. So that would actually interfere with making the iron line longer, so I don't think I would do that. I think what I would actually do if I wanted to make a serious glass production would probably be to dig this further out to the left. Have the whole wood line keep going the way it is, so that the iron line can still continue expanding. And just have wood going down into the furnaces for the glass. Like that. That's what I should have done rather than what I did. This way, again, it doesn't interfere with it continuing to go to the side. And I'm almost certain that this can power more than one furnace. No, actually maybe it can't because it's not really overflowing it that much. How much glass did it make? Made 16 glass just in the few minutes I've been standing here dilly-dallying with it. So what that's telling me is if I want to, I can actually produce a good amount of it without it being too big a problem. I'm just gonna flatten this off so I don't have to hop over it every time. I'll just use this as my inventory cleaner now. I could walk just down there for it, but it really doesn't matter one way or the other. This also allows me to pick up... Oh, no, I don't need more planks. I was gonna say it allows me to pick up a few more planks, but I have plenty. What I really need to do is get rid of 2 of those stacks of wood for now. This is the real reason I came over, though, is I was anticipating this running out soon. Yeah, one of the things that will be changing soon, by the way, is a lot of the stuttering and frame rate loss issues should be getting cleared up by a Monday. I have a couple things I'm going to be changing. Only one of which is going to change tomorrow. The rest are going to have to take their time getting changed, but it'll be okay. Basically, the point being, watch out for things changing, because they will be changing for the better. Okay, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna rip this up for a second, because I can do this a little smarter. Two furnaces. Both pointing to the center, where a chest is. And we have combustion drills at either end. Except it is having a really hard time letting me place this combustion drill. What is happening? Game, please. I can place one over here, just having the worst time trying to place one on the other side for some reason. But that one I'll output into that furnace, and then... It just really doesn't want to place on that edge of the sandstone for some reason. It's just having a real rough go of it. There we go. That doubles our glass production, which we already had 31. So we're almost halfway to what we needed for the thing, the ground expansion. And this is all perfectly automated, so there's nothing I really need to change about that at the moment, aside from bringing it up to join everything else once I need to automate it making something else for me. Which is going to be fiberglass for the most part, I think. Yeah, because that needs quartz, not glass. Which quartz is going to be a whole other issue. How do I even... Yeah, quartz is sand in an assembler, so we do need sand still. So what's more than likely going to be going forward, once we get the glass we need right now, is I'm going to rip all that setup up, make a bunch of drills to send sand up, much like everything else is going, and there's going to be like a mix of furnaces and assemblers like in here somewhere that'll send quartz and glass up into the actual factory up here. I think that's going to be the idea for that. But right now, that works as a temporary setup down there to get us enough glass for the territory expansion. Why is only one of these moving and making noise? Suspicious. I don't know if something's breaking there or if it just... I only need enough power from one of them. It's really hard to say on that one. I'm becoming more happy with this as we go along. I'm mildly upset with some of the concepts going into this setup up there, but it's at least better than the clusterfuck we had going on down below before. And I think 600 metal's enough to get us at least one of these. Yeah, it's enough to get us both of these. Wait, I unlocked that. Why is it not showing unlocked? Well, that's slightly buggy. We'll worry about that later. Mana cores, rubber, cranks, glass. Like, I would try re-unlocking it, but I need that void matter to go that way. Because I suspect over there is where our mana conduit might be. Considering it expects us to go find one. Ooh, mana conduits passively provide power. I definitely want to find that. Which, that might be where we end off today, is once we can get a mana conduit. At the very least, probably when we fully explore to the right, I might call it there. Because that should put us close to the 4-hour mark, which will be plenty for today. As a capstone to a week where I really just destroyed myself. Which, I hope y'all enjoyed this wild week of, like, 90% collabs, because it was a great time, but boy, was it a lot as well. Okay, that one worked. I think just unlocking 2 of them back-to-back might have been a little janky. Or that spot directly beneath us is just buggy. Hard to say. But let's see what's over there. Switch to combat mode. And a conduit. Give me a mana conduit. Oh, that looks like one. It looks like my prediction was completely correct. Because there's a mana deposit there and some kind of thingy. Yep. Requires conduit tapping technology to infuse with more mana. And that is a mana deposit underneath it. So I presume I just hook up my power line to it? Yep, I sure do. And then this should passively provide me with more power for the base. The way those are floating kind of offends my sensibilities, but I'm doing this for sake of doing this quickly. I might actually just barely not have enough of these to connect this. Nope. I just barely have enough, in fact. I don't see a wire going to the mana thingy, so I'm slightly concerned about that. Like, I wonder if I needed to actually have this other one be a little bit closer to it. Because the square for it's not around it. Yeah, I'm gonna make another one and put it just that step closer. Just to be on the safe side. And we'll see if our amounts change. It was like 108. See, now it's showing a line going to it. Okay, no, it's showing power demand now, so it's definitely doing its job. Okay. It's a little messy over there, don't mind that. There's a chest down here as well that I saw, which has some free transport tubes, some free scaffolding, and some seeds. And it's a free chest, so you know. Mine. Now, I will say, I don't know if I'll continue streaming this game. Having played it now, I'm still having a good time, but I'm realizing that this might not be a great stream game. But since this is a game I was really looking forward to, I wanted to at least share it with you all so you got to understand both something I enjoy and so you'd get an idea to see if you wanted this game yourself, because I wanted to, you know, encourage people to play this game so it gets the attention I feel it deserves. And yeah, we don't even need the crank generators anymore. Our power supply is entirely taken care of by that mana conduit now. So we just need conduit tapping and then to feed the mana conduit for that to get better. And we're just about to get magic distillation, so I'll take a look at what that requires with all of you, since we're not quite at 4 hours yet, and then we'll probably call it there. I would say it'd be a cliffhanger as to whether I could deal with that, but let's be real, like I was just saying, we're probably not coming back to this, even though I like it. The simple fact of the matter is, as much as I'm loving this game, I don't think it's making good content. And I was right in thinking that mana fiber was going to be necessary for this. So I just need to split off the silver ingots and send the mana fiber up. And then that'll be good to go. And I just need to bring power relays over, which is just mana and iron. Okay, that's going to be easy to take care of. That'll be absolutely fine. I'll take a quick skim through to see if there's somebody for us to raid. And I also want to be blunt about this. More than likely what's going to happen is I'm going to spend the rest of today playing this and get nothing else done. Because I could see this becoming a fixation game for me. But again, I just don't think there's enough for me to talk about while I'm playing it. And since it's a single player only game, I can't, like, bring somebody else on to help make this more interesting for people to watch. But I'll say this, if people really want to see me play more of this, let me know. Either comment on the YouTube VOD or tell me in general that you want to see more of this game, and we'll see what we can do. I just got that feeling as I was playing, like, I'm not really giving them anything to watch here. They're just watching me run around like a rat in a maze, slapping pipes in places and grumbling at myself when I move something incorrectly. And I just don't think there's much there content-wise. And that might be a case of me getting in my own head. That might just be that there are some games that don't serve well for streaming, and that's definitely the case. There are some games that just don't make a good stream. And I'm not really seeing like a I must raid this. So I think I will save myself some energy there, and we just won't. Because another thing I need to be blunt about. I spent a lot of my social battery this week, considering the entire week was collabs, and I raided on most of those days. So that was an extra pull on the social battery, and let me tell you, My social battery usually ain't that great, so I'm kind of surprised I made it through the week. Just to give you guys a little peek behind the curtain on that one. But thank you all for taking the time to be here. There will be something new on Monday. I'm not going to say what it is still because it's actually a little up in the air. Like, the original thing I said actually can't be done right now. But don't worry, I've got some interesting things up my sleeve. I just need to test something that comes in tomorrow to make sure that the idea is workable first. But, you know, be excited. New things are coming. It'll be great. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I'll see you on Monday unless something goes wrong. Goodbye.